Hello, student. My name is Jacobins. Today, we are going to discuss History Grade 11, Unit 10, subtopic The French Revolution. After the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain the cause, course, and consequence of French Revolution, explain how the old regime of France was overthrown, and list the parties formed after the downfall of the old regime of France. The period from the mid of 17th century up to 1789 in the history of France was the old regime. Cause for the rise of French Revolution. First one, the old regime of government of France was absolute monarchy without constitution. Second, the French monarchy was bankrupt and the rise of the cost of bread, another cause for the rise of French Revolution. The other one, the influence of French philosopher. For example, Rousseau, Montesquieu, Diderot, and so on. The influence of the philosopher highly affected the society, and it became the cause for the rise of French Revolution. The other one, the people of France was influenced by American War of Independence and the English Revolution. The other one, the society of old regime in France was divided into three estates. The first, the Catholic clergy, the first estate. Second, the nobility. The third one, bourgeois, wage worker, and peasant. Mind student, the first and second state had more privilege than the third state. Especially, peasants were the most oppressed of all because the peasant paid unjust tax and feudal dues. This class division affected especially the peasant. The immediate cause, mind student, the immediate cause for the rise of French Revolution was the involvement of France in the American War of Independence. It was the immediate cause for the rise of French Revolution. The war led to revolution into two ways. First, the officer who had served in the American returned to France with full of ideas and liberty. The other one, the war was very expensive, which resulted financial crisis for the French government. Those are the immediate cause for the rise of French Revolution. By 1788, there was no more money in the treasury. The government could borrow no more money, and authority of the government are break down. Then the States Generals was organized. States Generals was a national representative assembly of France. It consisted representative of elected by the three states. The three states means the first state, second state, and the third state. The first state, the clergy; second state, the nobility; the third, bourgeois, wage worker, and peasant. Then it had no meat since 1640 up to 1788 to become another influence for the rise of French Revolution. About 1788, things were made worse by very hard harvest and caused by the bad weather. Food was scarce in France. The price rose, and there was high unemployment rate in France. The other one, the poor number increased in Paris. About 500,000 up to 600,000 people lead a ghetto life in France. Then, at the time, the king of France was Louis the 16th. He prepared for struggle and gathered troops from different provinces of the country, but he was weak and incompetent, also not effective. In addition to Louis, his wife, Marie Antoinette, was unpopular and extravagant woman. She was disliked too, mind you student, she was disliked too because she was a foreigner, Austrian prince, criticized by local people. Another criticism of the Marie Antoinette, she says, let them eat the cake if they are hungry, based on oral tradition. Let them eat the cake if you are hungry. This saying was cited with Marie Antoinette. She was the wife of Louis the 16th of France. The States Generals met in May 1789. The representatives of third state were the most numerous. On June 1789, the third state passed a resolution because the third state consisted about 96% of French people. They all want to be National Assembly of the French nation. Then the representative of third state took the name, the National Assembly, and invited the representative of other state. That means the representative of first state and second state, or in other words, the representative, the other state indicates the clergy and the noble class. Then the National Assembly took an oath. That oath not to separate, that they would not end the meeting until they had given France a constitution. This oath took place in Tennis Court Oath on June 20, 1789, because the oath was made in large and indoor in Tennis Court. Then the king planned a counter-revolution against the assembly in Paris and Versailles. But the National Assembly was saved by mass insurrection of the ordinary people of Paris, the wage workers and small craftsmen. It's all about the basic cause and immediate cause for the rise of French Revolution. The next, the course of the revolution. The immediate action that led to the French Revolution came from the poor of Paris because of high price of bread and daily needs. On 14 July 1789, it was a historical date, student. On 14 July 1789, the people captured the prison of Bastille, the royal prison place, fortress and arsenal in the middle of Paris. The Bastille was considered as a symbol of tyranny and oppression in France. The fall of Bastille marked the end of absolute monarchy in France. On July 14, is celebrated by French people as anniversary of the liberty. July 40 is celebrated by French people as anniversary of the liberty. In the summer of 1789, the mass peasant disturbance increased in France. On August 4, 1789, abolition of feudal dues and church tax, tithes, abolition of all forms of privilege, including tax exemption. The events of July and August ended the old regime of France. It ended the old regime of France. The National Assembly took an authority to create a new social and political condition in France. On August 26, 1789, the National Assembly declared the Declaration of Rights of Men and the Citizens. It states that men are born free and equal with the right to liberty, the right to property, the right to security, and a resistance to oppression. All citizens are entitled to a voice in making national laws. All persons are guaranteed equality before the law, freedom from unlawful arrest, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion. And the division of France into states was rejected since 1789. Then all Frenchmen are equal. The National Assembly nationalized all the land belonging to the Catholic Church. This land was sold, and it was the member of bourgeois, some rich peasant who had financial capacity to buy the land. The poor of peasants and landless people in the countryside got nothing. Then the Catholic Church under the state control since 1789. This was the measure of the National Assembly. On June 1719, the king and his family fled to Paris to join counter-revolution, who had already left in France. This made royal family unpopular, and a mass of demonstration in Paris favored a republic suppressed by the National Guard. Then in September 1791, a new constitution had been completed. France became constitutional monarchy. But the constitution concentrated within the principle of Declaration of the Right of Man and Citizen, declared in August 1789. The constitution gave full political right of voting only for the active citizens. The others, the passive citizens. The active citizens mean who had enough property and they had paid tax. Student, there are two class division, active citizen and passive citizen. The active citizens have money, they pay tax and involved in the politics, while the passive citizens did not have full political right, could not fulfill the necessary financial qualification. On the other side, women denied all political right. Slavery continued in the French overseas territories. The National Assembly did not give political right to the poor because the bourgeois feared giving political right would endanger the government of private property. The National Assembly angered election under a new constitution for new legislative assembly. On August 10, 1792, a revolt in Paris overthrew the monarchy and rejected the constitution of 1791. Therefore, the Legislative Assembly dissolved and replaced by a new assembly called Convention. The main purpose of Convention, whose task was to write a new constitution for France. Austro-Prussian army invaded eastern part of France. The citizens of Paris assumed that the royalists involved on the side of Austria and Prussia to struggle against the National Assembly in France. Then the French army won an important victory against Austrian force at the Battle of Valmy in September 1792. The convention met in September 1792 and declared France a republic. On September 1792, France declared a republic. Immediately, France declared a republic in January 1793. The ex-king, that means Louis XVI, was executed by guillotines, and his wife Marie Antoinette also guillotined later on October 1793 by the following instrument. This was an instrument. It guillotined the head of human against by this wise and killed the king and the queen on 1792 and 1793. After the days of king and queen, the two rival political parties was emerged in France. Those political groups are the Jacobins and Grodins. The Jacobins believed to be representative of the middle and petty bourgeois. The name Jacobins derived from Saint Jacob Church, a society of constitution and society of freedom, as well as the society of equality. But they wanted more radical measures to save France and the revolution. It led to struggle with the Grodins. The Grodins, it represented the big bourgeois. They were a member of loosely knit political faction during the French Revolution. On 1793, the revolution were again in serious danger. France also invaded by European monarchies. The people of Paris supported Jacobins party. On May 31 to June 2, 1793, there was a big rising which led to the killing of Grodins. The Jacobins leader, theorist Maximilien Robespierre, they ruled France through 12 men, Committee of Public Safety. The Jacobins reform encouraged merchants and free trade. The Jacobins introduced a new, very democratic constitution on June 1793, which was to come into effect only at the end of the war. Food rioting introduced control of price, wage, and law of maximum was enforced by stabilizing the economy. This was the measure of Jacobins. The reign of terror was used to crush the counter-revolution. Terrorism meant execution of individuals, converted enemies for the people. During this time, the Jacobins assumed that the enemy of the society was Grodins. Then the convention turned against the Jacobins leadership. It violated the arrest of Robespierre. There was the highest of French Revolution and the bloodiest stage. Jacobins lost supporter and failed to keep discipline among themselves. Then on July 27 up to 28, 1794, Robespierre and other Jacobins leader sent to guillotines. Guillotines was an instrument to kill the king and other individual. The other one, the Reign of Terror. The Reign of Terror brutal crushed the domestic opposition. It was one of the manifestation of absence of rule of law in France. This was the end of Jacobins' military dictatorship in France. The convention voted a new constitution in 1795. It established a regime called Directory. The five-member committee which governed France from 1795 up to 1799. It did not give a stable and conservative bourgeois republic. It was weak and unpopular. Kept power within the support of the French army. Then, finally, in November 1799, an ambitious, popular, and successful war general overthrew the Directory. He was Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte overthrew the Directory. A student, what are the major significance of French Revolution? The following are the major significance of the revolution. The French Revolution brought about great change in the society and government of France. The French Revolution introduced democratic ideas and proclaimed individuals' democratic rights. Its slogan, for example, liberty, equality, fraternity. The first generation of right was during the time of French Revolution. What I mean by liberty? Liberty means free from absolute rule, free from unjust imprisonment, free from unnecessary and economic restriction, and to influence and change the government. It also freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, and civil liberties. Those are including under the liberty. What about equality? Equality means just and equal treatment for all. That means equal treatment for all, a person equal before the law, and equality in business, society, as well as in politics. The other one, fraternity. Fraternity means brotherhood of all persons working together to make a better world. Those important idea was developed during the time of French Revolution. The last one, the consequence of French Revolution or the result of French Revolution. it ended the supreme rule by French kings and strengthened the middle class. The revolution intensified or increased the spirit of French nationalism. It increased the French nationalism, and it abolished serfdom and slavery throughout France. And it destroyed the old feudal orders and led to the development of capitalism and liberalism in France. The other one, Marseillaise, La Marseillaise, a patriotic song that was written by Roget de Lisle, was adopted a national anthem of France on July 40. Bastille Day was proclaimed as a national holiday in France. Then French Revolution took place from 1789 up to 1799. The revolution had great effect on the rest of Europe. There was a class division during the time of old regime: first class, second class, and third class. The third class was unprivileged. The first and second are more privileged class. Then they formed a national assembly. That national assembly struggled for the unity of all French people. Then the king of French, Louis XVI, was overthrown from the power. After overthrow of the power, the Jacobins and Grodins struggled against to control France. Then after Jacobins and Grodins, the Directory administered the whole France. The Directory was overthrown by the known war general Napoleon Bonaparte. Student, for the next lesson, answer the following question. The first question: mention the cause, course, and consequence of French Revolution. What was the immediate cause for the rise of French Revolution? Explain how about the Jacobins and Grodinist parties was formed in France. Explain how Louis was overthrown from the power. What meant by guillotines? Those are the basic questions. Answer for the next time. Until next time, goodbye, student. Thank you very much.